Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're tackling something absolutely crucial when it comes to childhood mental health. We're going to look at a very specific idea floating around out there and contrast it with the actual realities on the ground, the systematic solutions, and, of course, the hard data. Let's just dive right into it. The myth that kids are too young for therapy.
They're too young to need therapy. Man, we hear this all the time, right? It's a phrase just tossed around in casual conversation by well-meaning adults, and sometimes it's even baked right into educational systems. But the material we're digging into today makes a super clear point. This is a really pervasive, incredibly damaging myth. It's one we need to quietly, but very firmly, retire. It is definitely time to put this misconception in the rearview mirror, because it fundamentally misunderstands how mental health actually works.
Section 1. Mental health checks, no ID. The reality of childhood trauma.
So, to really wrap our heads around this, we have to look at how these struggles actually show up in the real world. Just imagine, for a second, a 7-year-old completely paralyzed by worry. I mean, think about that, 7 years old. That's an age we usually associate with carefree playing, just totally frozen by anxiety. Or what about a 9-year-old losing interest in literally everything they used to love? That's not just a passing phase, it's a classic indicator of depression, showing up way before they even hit double digits. And then, consider a teenager carrying around these heavy, complicated experiences who desperately needs a safe clinical space to actually process them. You know, these aren't abstract concepts, these are daily realities for so many kids. Mental health struggles impact children at every single stage of their development. Conditions like anxiety and trauma, they don't check for an age ID at the door. And if we ignore that reality just because they're young, we're leaving them without the support they urgently need.
Section 2. Reframing therapy for kids, a toolkit for life.
All right, so we really need to reframe our definition here. Therapy is absolutely not about labels. The goal is never to stick some permanent stigmatizing label on a kid and just send them on their way. No way. Instead, therapy is about building a toolkit. It's about giving them concrete coping skills, a real language for their feelings, and essential regulation tools. We're totally moving away from that old fear of stigmatization and moving straight toward empowering kids with actionable life skills. It's active, it's practical, and it meets them exactly where they are developmentally.
Because here's the thing. These are tools they're going to use for the rest of their lives, at home, in school, and in every relationship after. This is the real, long-term return on investment here. We aren't just putting a Band-Aid on a temporary problem in a classroom. When you teach a child emotional regulation early on, you're fundamentally changing the trajectory of their future. They're going to use these tools tonight at the dinner table with their family. They'll use them tomorrow when they're stressing over a hard test. And they'll absolutely use them a decade from now in their adult relationships. It's a foundational toolkit.
Section 3. The MentalSpace School Solution. K-12 mental health support in Georgia.
So what does a concrete, systemic solution actually look like? Well, in Georgia schools, it looks exactly like this. It relies on a super comprehensive approach. First up, same-day teletherapy. This means immediate access when a student is in distress, totally cutting out those agonizing wait times. Next, you've got dedicated therapist teams per school. These aren't just random practitioners rotating through, they are integrated teams built directly into the fabric of the school itself. Add crisis intervention and suicide and violence prevention to the mix, and you've created this incredibly proactive safety net for the entire student body. And finally, staff wellness and family counseling. Because honestly, this has to be a multi-tiered approach. It goes way beyond treating an isolated student. It supports the whole ecosystem, the kids, the families at home, and the teachers in the building, the whole shebang.
Now, naturally, when you're setting up a massive system like this, quality and security are everything, absolutely paramount. The therapists here are licensed, diverse, and culturally competent. And that's so important because it ensures kids are met with an understanding that truly respects their specific backgrounds and lived experiences. Plus, the whole support system is both HIPAA and FERPA compliant, so parents and administrators can totally rest easy knowing that strict medical and educational privacy rules are firmly in place.
But look, the best program in the world means absolutely nothing if families can't afford it, right? That's why accessibility is a real game changer here. Through Medicaid, there is $0 out of pocket for the most vulnerable populations, literally zero. This proves we are actively tearing down the financial barriers that usually block access to mental health care. And right alongside that, they accept a wide array of private insurances like Blue Cross Blue Shield, Cigna, Aetna, Humana, plus state providers like Peach State and Amerigroup. It's a systemic model built from the ground up on real, undeniable financial accessibility.
Section 4.
Real results and outcomes. Data-driven hope.
Okay, let's talk numbers, because the metrics here show stunning, real-world impact. We are seeing an 89% rate of improved attendance. Why? Because when kids actually feel mentally supported, they show up ready to learn. We're also seeing a massive 92% reduction in anxiety. That is an overwhelming majority of students finding genuine relief from the worry that was literally paralyzing them. And with an 85% family satisfaction rate, the positive impacts are radiating right out of the classroom and straight into the home. These aren't just numbers on a spreadsheet. They are absolute proof points that kids will thrive when given the right clinical space and the right tools.
So it really leaves us with one incredibly important question. If we finally retired the too young myth, how could K-12 mental health support transform your community? Just imagine it, the boosted attendance, the reduced anxiety, the families finally getting the help they deserve. The data is crystal clear and the solution already exists. If you want to dig deeper into how this framework operates, head over to mentalspaceschool.com or shoot them an email directly. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer today, and as always, keep asking the important questions.